Friday afternoon. I'm Jim Bachman with Grow Fortify. Today I'm representing the Brewers Association of Maryland. We're going to have a wonderful conversation for our first Fermented Friday of 2021. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching live right now, we always invite you to be a part of our conversation. Throw your questions, your comments into the comment section of either YouTube or Facebook, and we'll happily address those and present them on the screen during our talk. Today we're going to be joined by Emma at Astro Lab Brewing. Really looking forward to this chat. Astrolabe has got a great business, great brewery downtown Silver Spring, really cool location, putting out some fantastic beers. If you're watching from Maryland Beer Drinkers Club or anything like that, we know you're all familiar with what they're doing there. So I hope you have some great questions for Emma, and we'll jump into that in just a moment. Before we get started with today's talk, just a quick reminder that Maryland's breweries are open for business. Please show your support either by going out to the brewery and having a pint or two while you're there, picking up beer through curbside pickup, any kind of online ordering they might be offering, consider direct-to-you delivery or shipping. We really can't thank you enough for all the support you've shown over the last 11 months of this craziness, and we just hope that you can continue to support these breweries into the future. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Emma on. Emma, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Hey, Jim. I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's always lovely to see you. I'm glad that you and I have the opportunity to catch up. We've been trying this for a few months, and you guys have been busy, and schedules didn't work out, so I'm very happy to have you on.
Yeah, since the pandemic hit, we've been stretched on all fronts, so I'm glad I can squeeze this one in this afternoon.
Yeah, me too. And I'm really excited about the lineup of beers that you and I have talked about. We've got a great lineup to talk about. You've got some wonderful beers to share with everybody. So I hope that we get some questions and some input. I think you guys have a great rotation, and I'm looking forward to learning some more. So right out of the gate, can you kind of give us the background of Astro Lab Brewing, kind of where you and Matt came from with this idea of opening a brewery, and tell us kind of how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, sure. So we have been open since October 2000. What year are we in? 2018. So we're coming up to 2.5 years old. But the idea sprouted for Astrolab in January of 2016. I've known Matt for a few years. He worked with my husband. And one cold January evening, we were sharing some beers, and I was at a crossroads in my career, and he was kind of trying to break into the professional brewing scene. And so we decided to, that opening a brewery was a great idea. And it all kind of sprung from there. So it took us almost 3 years to get the place open. And we went from initially, we were going to gypsy brew, and then we were going to contract brew. And then here we are, and we're in, over 5,000 square foot space, half of which is production, the other half is our tap room, which is open under normal circumstances 6 days a week. Staff before COVID of 15 and growing, and yeah, that's about it. Matt's a Kiwi. He came here from New Zealand, and I'm from the UK. I'm from Liverpool. So we kind of bring a unique combination to the Maryland brew scene.
I think that's one of the coolest parts about your story is you have this very unique input coming from backgrounds that are very different from what most of your customers, I'm sure, are used to. And you get to showcase that and kind of give it some flair that wouldn't be found at another Maryland brewery. So I like the way that stands out. You said that you were in the process for about 3 years prior to opening. Was the model that you anticipated? You kind of talked about the gypsy brewing deal and what you may have been looking at, but did you kind of have in your mind that you would want a place where a guest could come and sit down and have a pint of beer and enjoy your environment as much as your products?
Yeah, so once we decided on that we were actually going to invest in a location and open a tap room and a brewery, we pretty much always wanted to be in an urban area, and both of us lived in the vicinity of or worked in Silver Spring, and it just seemed like a great place to open up, because we're so close to DC. We're right on the Beltway, so we can get in and out to other parts of Maryland. So after we went through the let's gypsy brew, let's contract brew, let's get going slowly, and we were always going to be an urban tap room with a production space at the back.
It's fascinating. I was just going to say, it's fascinating how much your neighborhood is changing. I used to live in Silver Spring and work downtown at the Whole Foods there. And even since then, it's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I also worked at Whole Foods here, so snap. But yeah, it's such a unique. I don't even know whether I can call it a town, but it's like a small city with a small town feel. You know, people know each other. There's a lot of great little mom and pop restaurants, real good diversity, which is something that was really important for us to move into somewhere like that. But it's also on the edge of DC, so you know we're kind of in a very unique spot. And then we also have the other two breweries in Silver Spring, so you know we're almost like a little hub just off the metro where you can public transport and hit 3 breweries without ever getting on your while you're walking. So it's been a good spot for us.
I was going to say that I think it's you're very fortunate to have had Denizens right around the corner. They kind of did a really great job of laying a foundation for setting an expectation for local consumers to understand, hey, I can now go to a local brewery, a place that I can call home. And, you were able to offer a variety of beers that are not, paralleled to theirs or necessarily overlapping. So you're able to pull from the clientele, or at least generate your own clientele in a place where people kind of have an expectation now, which is wonderful.
Yeah, no, it is. That's what's unique about us is that there's 3 breweries with very different, styles and offerings, and there's something for everyone, and there's everything for one person if they want it. It's been awesome, and it's really hard to kind of fathom what it was like before Denizens came in and did all the hard work to lay the foundations before we got here, whether it was like legislatively or just, creating a model where you've got a brewery in a downtown area that has almost like a pub attached to it. I on a daily basis, I wonder, like, what would it have been like if Julia and the team hadn't come in and kind of did the groundwork before we got here.
So for anybody who's not really familiar with the 3 breweries that Emma's referencing, Denizens was the first to open, followed by Astrolabe, and then Silver Branch opened just a couple of blocks away. 3 really unique takes on approaching modern craft beer and their offerings, and all of them are working in really nice fashion to really build this hub that Emma referenced, where a craft beer consumer or a consumer of beer generally who likes something that tastes great has the opportunity to come and try different beers from each of these producers and kind of see what Maryland's story is all about with a lot of different versions of input. So I think it's a great experience for anybody who comes down and visits Silver Spring to try all 3 of you. But today we want to talk about why they should be coming to Astrolabe and trying your great beer. Yeah. So where did the name come from?
Astrolabe is it's an ancient navigational device. It predates the sextant. It's really intricate, and you can more or less see the shape and design of it in our logo. And why we chose that is it was very innovative at its time. It was ahead of the curve, and also really like heavily crafted, and skilled craftsmanship was involved. So we that's the crux of what we're trying to do with our beer. It also has a bit of a personal slant to it in that Matt grew up close to Astro Lab Reef in New Zealand, so he swam and fished on the reef as a young boy. So it's kind of got the philosophical story behind it, but also the personal touch that it's about our histories and creating innovation. And also it's basically, the translation is star taker. It tells you where you are in relation to the stars and in time. So for us, it's just all about creating that history and our own take on looking into the future and being innovative and really making beers that are really well crafted and ahead of the ahead of the curve.
Well, I think that's awesome. I love talking about the philosophy behind not only the brand, but also we'll extend that into what you guys are doing with the beers that you're producing. But I like, there's this trend. It's not necessarily a trend. There's a history in craft beer of people associating their brewery with a geographic reference or a regional reference that makes sense to the consumer. And while the Astrolabe Reef might not mean anything to anybody in your area, the fact that you can carry that along and it still means something to Matt is really cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's a great part of the story. I really
and
think.
I also add at the end of that it's just a really cool logo and a cool name.
Yeah, I mean, your logo is phenomenal. I think in the way that it stands out on the can and modern branding approach with contemporary thought, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
I know. If I recall, right prior to you opening, there was some change in how you were going to spell things and make things work out. So I still love that you were able to land on the name and come up with a logo that was super.
Well, we along the way, it was about 2 years we had it spelled with an E. It's actually the correct way to spell it is just all together with an E on the end. But we pronounce it Astrolabe. Americans pronounce it Astrolabe. Matt was blushing a lot, so But we also, once we decided to change it, we realized like the splitting it up and making it including the word lab in the name really modernized it and was brought the innovation and the modernity to the name Astrolabe and brought in the science that is involved in brewing beer.
I was going to say, I think having the lab separate really serves a great purpose, and it truly makes it truly brings in the scientific background to this creative process, which I think is cool.
Yeah, so that was the main reason, really.
Well, I think it worked out well, and I think it's fitting for your space. You have a very clean space that is approachable, and it looks like when you go in there, the purpose is to enjoy beer and to learn about the beer, and I think that it fits your brand entirely. So good job on that.
Great. Well, I'm glad, because that was the whole purpose of just having a clean space. It was, you come in, you're not distracted by a bunch of stuff on walls or colors or, pictures. You're just focused on drinking beer and looking at beer in your glass on a clean background.
That's what it's all about. So what has the philosophy been behind the beers that you have produced? I mean, you guys are producing a wide variety of styles. Not everything is, fit nicely into one box. You're bringing perspective from different ingredients that you're sourcing globally, at least ingredients that are coming from global backgrounds, New Zealand hops, things like that. How are you coming up with this great philosophy of the beers that you're putting out?
Yeah, so our mission really is to quality and innovation are the two key drivers for any of our beers, and we're always going to be a very hop forward brewery. So when we look at innovation, we're looking at what we're going to do with hops in beers that we really do specialize in the IPA category and have always aimed to do that. But we also really want to showcase hops in other beers. So, we're going to go through the list, but most of these beers that you see here showcase a hop in some way. So our Saison, we dry hop with different types of hop. So we've done a Mosaic, a Nelson, and a Citra version of that beer. So yeah, it's just really to do new stuff with the beers that we're working with, the IPAs, and then just really try and showcase hops in other styles that you may not see them in. But quality is definitely the main priority for us, and we really want to be one of the best at what we do.
Just a couple of quick shout outs. I want to say hi to Matt from Calvert, who's joined us this afternoon, and Jason from Oliver is in waving at us saying hello. And Kelly from our team at BAM is going to be very happy to learn about the stouts that you have, because we're going to talk about one of them later.
Have one of those here. Yeah, we can give you the kind of background to the series, and we're going to be doing some new stuff this year. Like we're really focusing on our IPAs and bringing some new IPAs to the market, but also we're going to be really deep diving into New Zealand Pilsners and lagers, and then like we're really going to be bringing out some unique stouts that I think Matt's stouts are phenomenal, and we've never really focused on them, but 2021 will be the year for doing that.
Yeah, I recall them showing up occasionally in little blips and drips here and there, and I really think that there's a lot of potential for stouts coming out of your brewery, and I'm excited to learn more about them.
Okay.
So, what beer should we like to start with?
So I'm always going to put Fresh As is. I put that at the top of the list. So there we go. So Fresh As is, for me, it's our number one selling IPA, and we do push it a little. It's like, I always call it the gateway IPA. We have a lot of people coming in here saying, "Oh, I don't like hoppy beers and I hate IPAs. What can you give? What can I try?" And I'll give them a beer, and they'll say, "Oh, I'll have a pint of that. What is it?" And it's like, well, that's an IPA, But it does have the New Zealand hops in it. It's got Nelson, Mosaic, and Citra. It's got a really unique tropical fruitiness. It's hazy, but it's got like the white grape that's coming from the New Zealand hops, and real citrus, passion fruit. But then it's also got a balance of a pine at the end. It surprises me. It's the one that people consistently ask whether we have, or if we've if we run out of it. I get emails to say, "Oh, I couldn't get Fresh As. What's your closest alternative, or where can I find Fresh As?" It's my favorite, and I can't find it anywhere near where I live. And also, it also draws people in. So we are just about to do a collab with Craig Laughlin of the Capitals announcer, because he contacted me and said, "I love Fresh As. I've got into Fresh As. I can't find it. How do I get it where I live?" And then we kind of spawned from there. And now we're going to do a collab to raise some funds for his charity, which is linked to his wife recently suffered from a rare cancer, and they started a charitable foundation to kind of raise money and awareness for the charity. So we're going to be donating some of the proceeds to the charity and doing some fun stuff. So it really is the beer that we consistently have people, raving about, asking for, calling us to see where they can get it.
Well, on the point of the philanthropic angle with beer, it's one of the things that we intend to be sharing with people throughout February, is just how much we talk often about how this industry is so tied to the community. I don't think there are many people out there that understand just what that means. And there's a huge philanthropic angle that many of our members take in their communities. So I'm honored to hear what you're doing, and I'm excited to learn more about it, because I'd like to talk about it during Maryland Beer Month.
Great.
The only other point that I was going to have was, with a name like Fresh As, the expectation is that the beer is fresh. So if you're producing enough to have it all the time, and it's not necessarily as fresh as it could be, you might be letting people down. So knowing that there's that demand in its absence is great.
Yeah, it is. And we try to brew it so that we just hit the right spot for the tap room, wholesale, and then to wider distribution in Maryland. So yeah, it usually is fresh, and we just started date coding our cans, so you know exactly when it was brewed.
Wonderful. So is the next on the list the High Rye? Yes.
So I put this into the fold because it's the only beer that we brew with rye. It's not all rye; it's a combination of other malts and rye. But we only brew it once a year, and it just came out a couple of weeks ago. We don't brew too many doubles either, so it's a double IPA, and it really you really get a good mix of peach and citrus, and then the rye really softens the finish. So I thought I'd just throw that in here because it is like a seasonal, and it will be in the stores right now. So if people are looking to to try something a little different, then I would definitely give this a shot.
So do you consider that kind of a seasonal release if you're only doing one annual brew?
Yes. Yeah, we originally brewed it for our first anniversary, and then people still ask us for it, so we brought it back this year as one of our double releases. And it has, I'll read out the hops because I said this to Jim previously. We have so many beers now. I find it hard to keep on top of the hop combinations, but it has Columbus, Amarillo, Citra, Mosaic, and Citra Cryo. So it really is a very flavorful double IPA that I highly recommend.
It sounds like it keeps its roots in kind of the old world craft,
yes,
but is showcasing this really kind of the novel hop varieties that people are really clamoring for.
Yeah, and I think that's what we kind of do, on a lot of occasions. We're just, if there's noise in the back, it's because we're just canning our latest collab with Phil Runco from Brightest Young Things. He kind of challenged us to make a Citra Motueka combination IPA. So it's like, it's not old world to new world. The US fruity hops combined with those New Zealand lemony, limey kind of flavors. So we're always trying to, we want to pay homage to craft and the history of craft, but always kind of take it that little bit further to see what we can do next.
That's awesome. How soon can people expect that if you're canning today? Is that going to be available?
That's already available online. That's where, as it's coming off the line, it's going out the window.
Friend of mine, Brian Gruner, just popped into the chat and said that he was enjoying some of your Star Takers last weekend. So
nice. Yeah, I really like that IPA. It's probably for me one of the most dank of the IPAs that we make.
I was just going to say it's one of the ones that falls on the list high up there for me because it does possess that dank characteristic, that aroma that I truly love.
Yeah.
All right. So next on here, I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. Tahi.
Yes.
All right. So this is a New Zealand Pilsner. Tell me all about this delicious sounding beer.
So this was our original New Zealand Pilsner, and most of our Pilsners have been New Zealand Pilsner. It has Riwaka, which is a rare New Zealand hop in the US. And I can't figure out how the camera works here or which angle. Yeah, so it has Riwaka and Nelson. It's super crisp. We basically ferment our Pilsners naturally, so that would have been in the tank for about 7 weeks. It's super crisp, super clear, and then you get these really, really fun New Zealand hop flavors in there. The name means the number one in Maori. We have a lot of our Pilsners we kind of run with that premise in that they come numbered. So we had Tahi, Toru, and that again, like as I said earlier, is like we're really going to be focusing in on bringing some really unique Pilsners this year and really maximizing, Matt's background and his connections to get some really fun and new New Zealand hops onto the US market.
I kind of get the impression that artwork was inspired by traditional New Zealand culture as well.
Yeah, so our artwork designer, she was our taproom manager, and we've morphed everyone into several different roles in the last 9 months. But she also has a graphic design background. So as COVID hit, we kind of pulled her in to start working on the design of our cans. The original template was someone else, but then Tash has really taken on the background and the wallpaper. So she's also Maori, which really plays into the artwork and design, and it's personal to her. she gets very upset if she sees like fake Maori artwork on something that is not accurate or
I think that many people can appreciate that that desire to make sure that it's authentic and looks correct.
If you want, Jim, now I was just going to say the guys are still canning. I can kind of walk you into the back to say hi to the.
Sure, let's do. That would be great to do a little bit of a tour. We don't get to do that often, and I think it would kind of showcase your space very well.
Yeah, so let me do that, and I can get us all plugged in when I get back. So as I said, the tap room's fairly, you know, we do have some artwork in the Astro Lab logo, but it's very, you know, it's clean and kind of industrial, so that you get very clean walls, whites and greys, so that you're really focusing on the beer. And oh, I'm going to have to put my mask on. I've forgotten where we are and what we're doing here. I'm alone in the front, so I can be maskless, but when I go in the back, when we're together, we tend to. Yeah, so as I said earlier, the guys are just canning the collab that we did with Phil Runco. We have 5 15-barrel fermenters and a 30-barrel, 2 30-barrel fermenters and a 30-barrel bright and a 15-barrel bright. So it's a good size, and we fit it into a pretty small space. So you can see small canning line. You say hello, Matt?
Hey, Matt. Good to see you.
And then now we have cans everywhere. This is the other Matt.
Hey, other Matt.
Hey.
How we doing?
Living the dream. What's up, dude? How you doing, mate?
Doing well. Happy New Year.
Oh, good. Happy New Year. Right. How you doing? All right?
We're doing well. We wanted to introduce you to all of our viewers. Everybody's excited to learn about what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Yeah. Matt, can you just jump on here? Yeah.
So this is Matt, co-owner and head brewer over there at Astro Lab, doing his thing. I love the mask, man. Love the color.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Like, I kind of really scraping the bottom of the bucket on this one today. Everything's dirty, so like, yeah, pretty stoked to find it.
Well, I already got to say it to Emma, but I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, and you, mate. Always good to see you. Stay healthy.
You too. Keep everyone there making great beer. Emma, real quick, we have a question in the chat. Just want to make sure. Are you open to the public this afternoon?
We open at 4 o'clock until 8 for pickup and online orders.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And we also do, we basically deliver to a radius around us on Wednesdays through Saturdays. And then we open Wednesday through Sunday in the tap room for pickup and any brave souls that don't mind sitting outside.
We also were having that talk before we started this. So Astrolabe does have some great space outside right along Georgia Avenue. Great people watching for sure. And if you're happy to enjoy cold beer on a day that might be a little chilly, they are happy to accommodate.
Yeah, I'm just going to plug my computer back in here, Jim. There we go.
So let's jump back into it. I'm excited to learn about the next beer on the lineup. This is a style that is not represented widely through the industry right now. So your 10th floor, this is a Saison with Mosaic.
Yes. So 10th floor has been basically our rotating Saison for a while. Since we opened, we've always carried a Saison. It's a style that Matt really enjoys brewing and really likes to play with. So 10th floors come previously with Nelson Sauvin as the dry hop. And Citra. So there's been a few versions. We also recently did a darker Saison that had a lot more caramel and kind of really unique flavors, and we aged that on caramelized figs. So that was a really fun Saison. It was one of my favorites. And then next week we'll be bringing a new dark Saison out called Snowy Owl, which is more like a winter Saison. So it'll have some of those more unique flavors as well that are not, not 10th floor, and maybe you might relate more to like a tank number 7 or one, more of those caramels and sweetness that we're hoping that people will love.
It's kind of nice to see the breadth of what a saison can be truly represented. I think that's great because everybody kind of has this take. Either they've tried one style that's very light on the saison edge, or they've had the darker styles and maybe not everything in between. So it's great that you're finding a way to introduce all of those different approaches.
Yeah, and we also like with the saisons, we like to play around with them, and we've done some really neat bottling projects where we put them in, and we put them on Brett or sack and pull them out 18 months later and see what we've got. So you'll see some more of that in the next year or two, as we've gone from some serving tanks in the cooler, and now we're not doing massive serving from tanks or kegs. We're going to use those to do some neat, like just open kind of fermentation projects on some of the beers that we can leave in them for a while and add some unique ingredients and new flavors.
Well, that's great. So before we get into the next beer, just generally, most of your products come in 4 packs of 16-ounce cans.
Yes.
And they are available for carry out. Are you offering growler and crowler fills right now?
We haven't been, because everything that we've got is in a can, and it's been really hard to balance how much of a batch do we put in a keg and how much do we put in a can, because we're, from week to week, we don't know if we're going to be open in the tap room or not. So right now, everything we have is available in 4 packs of 16 ounces. The majority of each batch is going into cans, and we have a few beers on tap as well right now, just for outdoor seating and.
Sure. And you did say that people could pre-order beer and come pick it up, correct?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, that makes things easy for anybody that's interested in trying to try any of these wonderful beers. They can go look at your website right now and place an order.
Yes.
So let's jump to what will make Kelly very happy. Let's talk about the Winter Woolies, your Imperial Stout.
Oh, the Imperial. So yes, this is the third, I think, in the Woolly range. So we decided this winter, let's go for the stout category, and we've done a regular stout, and then now we've done 2 imperial stouts, and we've had a couple of bottle projects as well. What I would say about, I think when we say imperial stout now, people think, big stouts on the sweeter end of things. Our stouts tend to be, they're American dry stouts, so they're definitely on the drier end of the category, but like huge flavors. Matt's he really does nail the stout category, so they tend to sell pretty quickly. And the next one we're going to bring out for around Valentine's Day in February, and we'll have a few different flavor profiles and some bottles of that imperial stout. And we always try to have a stout on, but now we're really trying to, really move heavily into the stout market as well.
Well, it's nice to have those two opposite ends of the spectrum, the really malt forward products and then those products that are very hop forward, and you've kind of been crushing it with the hop forward stuff for a while. So bringing that malt balance in is definitely a great idea.
Yeah, so we had Woolly Jumper, jumper is a sweater in England or New Zealand. So we had the Woolly Jumper, and then we moved on to the Winter Woolies, and I think the next one's going to be Woolly Mittens. Nice. So, and then we also, we do some great summer stout, so we'll move away from the woolly reference at that point. And then Matt just has some really neat bottling projects in the midst, and also barrel aging of some of the bigger stouts.
Well, I am a firm believer in summer stouts. I know that not everybody out there thinks that there is a place for a stout at the summer table or in front of the grill, but I personally, there's nothing better to me than having a late summer evening fire in the backyard with a great stout. So
Yeah, there's always a stout drinker. You'd be surprised.
Absolutely. And we had one more beer on the list, kind of as a beer to bring out at the very end. And this is a beer that you guys kind of have had a series of, right?
This was the one that I was like, oh, I forgot I didn't put this on. Okay, so Super Grooviest is our very first and only triple IPA. And yes, so we started off with Super Groove, and we thought we would have some fun with the Super Groove is an IPA, and then we had Super Groovier, which is the double IPA, and then for our anniversary we brewed the Super Grooviest, which is one of those beers that people say, oh, and what is it? And it's like, it's a triple IPA. What's the ABV? 10.5, I think it is. No, 10.2. Oh, like, yes. And then they drink it. It's like, oh, that doesn't drink like a triple. And I'm like, yes, that's why we tell you to go, tread carefully. But it is a really, really good, triple. And I think we'll just pull those out every now and again for the fearless among us.
There you go. What does distribution for Astrolabe's beer look like throughout the state?
So we've distributed from pretty early on. We're pretty well represented in Montgomery County, Frederick, DC, and we self-distribute to those places. And then we work with a small distributor for the rest of Maryland. So you can find our beers in most parts of the state. And if you can't, do reach out, and I can speak to people in the right places to make sure that we get it to where you need it to be.
And the caveat to that is you should also be asking the retailer to carry the beer if you don't see it there. It always helps to have the retailer know that somebody is looking for that beer when Emma shows up to sell them.
And I do get a lot of requests where a retailer says, oh, I have like a couple of customers asking for your beer. Can you come and see me? How do I get it? And so that is always a huge part of breaking into new accounts. Yeah,
those retailers love knowing that there's some demand built up already so that they're not taking a total chance. But obviously with the breadth of beers that you're offering and the style varieties, I think it's something that would make sense at most local liquor stores.
Yeah.
So what is on the horizon for Astrolabe in the next couple of months? What do you see as big projects or exciting things that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think we're trying to just survive the next couple of months right now. But we really, I think the next couple of months is a little bit about survival. But the stout project in February, we have a collab coming up with Craig Laughlin. As I explained, we're really excited for that, and we're hoping to do some collaborations with some of our friends that we've brought beers out with before. So we'll just be trying to head down, keep doing what we're doing some fun new stuff, and then we're really excited to come out of the pandemic, just in the sense that we started out with one business model, and now we've added several other facets to it. And once we get back to the old business model, we really think we're excited for like a good bit of growth and some fun projects and bigger things in 2021.
I had a conversation yesterday with the founder and CEO and head distiller at Lost Ark Distilling in Columbia. And one of the things that we were talking about was that despite all of the kind of the craziness and unsettling things that have happened over the last year in terms of what the impact of COVID has had on a business, it's really given just enough pause for him as a business owner to be able to kind of focus in on new approaches to things and new things that they were really excited about at the distillery that maybe they didn't have the time to do before.
Yeah.
And kind of hearing what you guys have in the works, it sounds like you've been able to find a little bit of a way to pick out a new opportunity or some new direction that you'd like to explore and kind of bring to the forefront. So I'm encouraged by that, and I think that's very exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, we are really excited because we keep looking at it and saying, there's a lot being taken away, but we've added so many things that we didn't have before we went into this. For instance, like online ordering, that was like, oh, we got to do this within a 24-hour period, let's throw a website together. And now it's like a fundamental element of how we're staying in business. And I think we'll continue beyond. When we went into COVID, we were not canning our own beer. We, like a couple of months earlier, bought a secondhand canner line and very swiftly had to get up to speed and get to know it very well. And now it pumps away, 2, sometimes 3 times a week. So those are things that we wanted to add to the business, but maybe it would have taken a lot longer to get there. And now we've got everything in place that when we go back to where we were before, we're going to be just bigger and better and stronger than we were when we went into it.
Yeah, I'm certain nobody was asking for these circumstances to be the things that were the impetus for these changes. But it's great that you were able to make those changes because, had you not done them early enough, the demand for those things like secondhand canners and things like that would have been astronomical.
Yeah, I mean that's we often comment that was like the most fortuitous event that's probably happened to us, because I don't really think we would have still been here if we didn't have the ability to put our beer into cans.
Well, for the folks that are viewing either right now or will be watching this in the next couple of hours or the next couple of days, how can they find out about what's going on at Astrolabe, and how can they keep in touch with you?
Okay, so we keep our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter accounts very up to date, our website. But I'd say, Instagram and Facebook are probably the best way to be getting the latest news and keeping in touch with what we're doing. And also, there's a link on our website to join our email distribution list, which we haven't really used to its full capacity up to now, but we'll definitely be diving into it in 2021.
And what is your URL, just so everybody can find that?
All of our social media is at astrolabbrewing.com. They're the handles.
Great. So very nice and uniform and easy to follow that way. And astrolabbrewing.com has all the stuff that you would need. The very first link on there is to order beer, so you can place your orders, go pick it up, visit with these wonderful people, and learn all about the great beers that they're producing. If you have any reason to be inside the Beltway in the next couple of weeks, go and visit Astrolabe. They've got a great destination for you and some wonderful beers for you to try. Emma, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. It's always a pleasure to see you.
You too. Thank you, Jim.
If you have any questions about what's going on in Maryland beer generally, visit us at marylandbeer.org. You can also check out the Brewers Association of Maryland's social media stuff, Brewers Assoc MD on Facebook, Maryland Beer on Instagram, and we have lots of exciting stuff coming up. We're excited for February this year. We're excited for a new year of great beer with all of our members, and we'd like to thank you very much for your ongoing support. Please don't hesitate to support your favorite local brewery and ask for their beer at your favorite local retailer. Emma, have a safe weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Jim. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.